Hey everyone, this is Josh from before, and I'm here with McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Swamp Thing MegaFig. And if you saw my reviews of the Darkseid and Steppenwolf MegaFigs, you would know that I really liked what they did with those. But for the value coming in at $40, which is twice the cost of a regular Multiverse figure, they didn't quite feel like twice as much action figure for the price point. This, on the other hand, this is truly twice the size of a regular 7-inch figure. It's absolutely gargantuan, but worth pointing out, there's still some room to grow in this box here. You know, we could be seeing even larger figures still at some point in the future. Just worth taking note of. Anyway, I'm gonna have a couple minor, like, personal nitpicks about this, mostly based on the fact that they went with the Rebirth design. I'll get into that in a moment. I won't spend too much time looking at the box. This shipped for me pretty promptly through Amazon. You know, one more thing before I get out of the box. It's worth noting that just like looking at it in here already, you could tell this thing is a real piece of art. It's so nice, in fact, that I think they should be crediting the sculptors and paint artists and everyone else involved on these on the boxes. I think it'd be a classy move. I think it'd be an artist-friendly, good faith exercise. I think they should do it. A lot of times when these guys are in the package and the shoulders are real tight, I kind of try to lift them out from the legs first. I know that might seem obvious to some people, but it's worth mentioning. Holy cow. Man, I don't even know where to start. There's like green plant matter. There's bark on top of that. There's moss on the bark. There's vines covering the moss. There's leaves and fronds and all kinds of stuff poking out in all kinds of different directions in a really great asymmetrical way. Wow. For as big as he is, he's not as heavy as I expected, which I think is going to be nice for balance. Like, if anybody messed around with that Violator Megafig, man, he was just so top heavy that it's hard to keep him standing up. You know what? There's a lot to look over here. If you saw that, the re-release version of Devastator that came in that 2-pack, you would have seen that they used this plastic that was marbled on purpose to give it a more organic sort of variety of colors blended together in there. And I didn't really like it on that Devastator. I think it works a lot better in here, where it kind of goes from a brownish to this more olive green, and then they've hit some areas with paint, like this just green highlight that's throughout, and it's not just like willy-nilly. It's thoughtfully put on the correct pieces of vines and moss that would give this some like definition. It looks really good. I would have liked to see more of this darker brown brought out throughout the front, some more, a little bit more contrast, and some darker colors in there as well, because it's very just green heavy on the front, obviously. But man, let's look at all these. Wow, look at this. This is crazy. Man, this is wild. Looks really good. It makes me double down on my point that they should be crediting the artists and the sculptors and the people that work on these. Are really, really outstanding. So my one personal criticism is that when I think of Swamp Thing, I don't think of this sort of humanoid shape. I think of more of a monstrous, hulking sort of mass that is more asymmetrical. So I would have just liked to have seen maybe, you know, one of these legs be a little bit more of a tree trunk type shape, with less of a traditional foot and maybe more of a big hoof type thing. Or, you know, likewise for maybe one of these arms, maybe it even would have a bigger socket, bigger gauge, like ball joint than the other side, and not even necessarily like hit in the same place as the other one. You know, just some more along the lines of like the original Muckman, you know, from the Playmates Ninja Turtles. That line is still, to me, like the gold standard for asymmetrical figure designs. So while I have a very hard time criticizing this figure, it's just when I think of Swamp Thing, I think of more the big shoulders, you know, that come all the way up almost to the top of the, like, crest the top of the head, and that's all. That's that Alan Moore, you know, era, and less this design. Moving his head around, it feels a little bit stiff in there right now, but I think it actually has some good range. You definitely need him to be able to look down because he's so much taller than everyone else. But man, wow, just look at that. You know, when you turn it, it's just a great head sculpt. Really captures the character. Feels like Swamp Thing. Little pieces of bark and stuff poking through, and little veins, leafy, you know, type veins. Amazing. And it's the way they captured both plant matter and, you know, musculature in here. It's just really incredible. Look at that. Man, with all these little individual vines, sort of, man, it's like the closer you get, the just more there is to see. Like, even like there's little like flowers blooming right here, like on his back. Kind of makes me wish they hit those flowers with some color. These soft pieces of bark and leaves that overlap his arms here are soft. They even put some texture on the butterfly pieces there so that they're not just smooth. Really nice. Look at this, Arjun. Look at that. That's so great. Oh, it's awesome. Oh man, that's the good stuff right there. Love to see the way that moves around. It's so cool. It just looks like a rainforest, you know? The butterfly joints do also really have some nice movement in there that you can really give them kind of different body language. I love these butterfly joints. And to have them on a figure this scale is just super cool. Single elbows, which I think was the right touch, just to not break up this amazing sculpt. The single elbow with the rotation, you know, having that rotation in there makes up for not having the second elbow joint. Really nice touch. Like on this side, they have these pieces of bark and extra stuff that are on top of the base mold, and like this one covers the pin there, which I wish they would have just figured out how to creatively do that on every single one. You know, like I feel like they could have got there on these somehow. Like this is poking up a little bit to cover it. Could have gone a little bit further. That's just wishful thinking. And like the way there's these extra long hanging pieces of vines and stuff. I wish there was more of it. I wish it was just poking up out of them in different directions, full on, you know, tree branches kind of. Maybe that's a little too Groot-like, but wrists are a little ugly when you turn them like that. Not terrible, but man, those hands are amazing. Look at that. Oh, he's awesome. Nice and easy rotation there at the diaphragm. Not much forward. I wish, like, I mean, they're putting in the work here to tool this out. They should just, they should be able to give him a little bit more forward movement. The waist is a little tighter, but once you get him moving, he's pretty freed up there. Again, no crunch. Silly that they're tooling out all this stuff, but that they won't let him move forward. It just seems like you're spending the money. Like, just give me a little bit more of a rocker forward. The pelvis piece here is very, very pliable, very soft. I think softer than most of the ones that we've been getting. And is a little bit loose kind of when you start to kind of feel around, but it hugs his torso in a way that works. It's not like that Justice League Flash where there were big gaps. I mean, he's got a nice looking butt there too, right? Wow. Yeah, I mean, like, he could sit down. Like, how amazing would this be? Like, him sitting down in some nature, some greenery. Although, oh man, it's a shame that they didn't put any sculpting under the feet there, but yeah, I could see him like having a little tea party out in the field, sitting on a blanket. Yeah, those legs work really well. A little bit of rotation. See, again, that if these joints, they're really ingenious, and I think they're superior to a ball joint in that they can rotate from right there, from the hip, you know, the way that a normal leg would. But they don't carve out enough of this plastic in the back, and it starts running into itself, and it gets in the way of that rotation. So you've got people saying like, oh, they need to add thigh cuts. Well, they don't need to, because they already have the rotation. They're just getting in their own way here by not carving out enough, especially when you have this big butt that is going to cover that stuff in there anyway. You know what I mean? You don't need to see it. Double knees. I have incredible range on these knees, and did not expect them. Like, look at that. Just don't see that kind of stuff on figures this size. It's just this size and this shape. It's just not a... Like, you can get them down like this if you want them to come down to somebody else's level. You know what I mean? Really nice. Really just... Sometimes you get a figure this size and it becomes more about the scale and less about executing all the things that a normal size figure is able to do. But this one is not like compromised in that way at all. Ball joint tucked up under there. Pretty nice and hidden, quite honestly. You see that? And then toes on these amazing little plant-like, bark-like feet. Love the asymmetrical feet there. That's the kind of stuff that I'm really all about. He comes with this alternate right hand that is kind of like a spear of bark and vines and green. His hand just pops out like so. Pegs back in. Like so. And it has a hinge on that as well, which is great. It's a nice touch. I didn't necessarily need a battle version of Swamp Thing, you know? Like, I prefer my Swamp Thing to be a little bit more peaceful. I mean, he's angry, but he's not, you know, he's not necessarily super fighty, you know what I mean? But I'm not complaining, and it looks tremendous. Look at that. Really, just great detail. You almost want to give it to him just because the detail on it's so good. But I mean, these hands are just beautiful. Look at these hands. Really, really incredible. And I'll tell you what I've really been wanting to do with them. So what I've been wanting to do ever since I got this Buttercup from Princess Bride. And she has this actually excellent like articulation in the torso. I'm gonna give him like this damsel, this sort of creature from the Black Lagoon, King Kong, you know, monster, carrying the fair maiden sort of vibe. Oh, I don't know. Gotta work on the pose, but that's what I've really been wanting to do with it. Here he is next to the Dark Side and King Shark MegaFigs. Just, I mean, towers over those guys. Here he is next to the Dark Father and Bane Build-A-Figs, towers over them even more. It's huge. And here with some normal 7-inch scale DC Multiverse figures. Man, you could really just, you could have some fun with it, with some of these normal Skies characters. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have that hand perfectly wrapped around them, but there's some pretty fun possibilities there. Oh, that's so cool. I mean, the only one that could really mess with him size-wise is this Violator, but Violator was $10 more. And frankly, this Violator, like, needs a stand to stay up. He's just so top-heavy. Whereas this guy's just perfectly balanced. See, I accidentally hit him and he's still standing. There you go, guys. Highly recommend. Classic character, fairly classic representation of him. And just a lot of fun and potential, fun factor there once you get to playing around with him. This guy can really, he can do a lot. He does a lot more than just stand there. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. I will see you on the next one. Bye.